We're talking about the International Criminal Court, which is now issuing arrest warrants for, of course, some of the Sinwar and some of the leaders of Hamas. Yeah, maybe that's justified. But they also decided to issue arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and some members of the Israeli team. So that is happening right now. I got Harry Hutchinson joining me in studio. I also got Jeff Balaban. Jeff, obviously you're head of ACLJ Jerusalem, but I want to get your initial feedback for that. And then Harry, you brought up in our meeting earlier today some of the impact, some of the fallout that actually could come from this, because people hear International Criminal Court, they don't necessarily understand the ramifications. They think of it as this dystopian, futuristic land that really has no bearing on society, but they do. But Jeff, obviously you're connected more to our office in Jerusalem. I want to get your initial thoughts.
Right. Well, there's a reason that both Israel and America are not part of the International Criminal Court. And some of it for America is constitutional. But for Israel, some of it is because it's very clear that the groups that make up the International Criminal Court, not dissimilar to the groups that make up the United Nations, which has an agreement with the International Criminal Court, are committed to the destruction of the Jewish state. It's that simple. And the comparison or the roping in of the leaders of the state of Israel while it's waging a defensive war with the lowest non-combatant casualty count apparently in recorded history, doing more to take care of civilians than anyone in history waging war, calling them war criminals, going after them, is now, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the people in Israel, essentially moving what we call lawfare, which we at the ACLJ fight all the time, lawfare against Israel, into the realm possibly of active warfare. I mean, it will using the powers of governments to sanction Israeli leaders, making it impossible for them to travel. Harry can go more into the details of their powers here, but I'm just saying that they're moving it into it. And by the way, I don't think they could do this without, we'll see how the Biden administration reacts it's very much against America's interest, but without the constant drumbeat comparing Israel's defensive actions to Hamas's terrorist actions coming out of this White House, I don't think the international anti-Israel community would have dared do such a thing.
Yeah, I want to read this quote. This is from Khan, who is, let's find the exact title here. Khan is the ICC arrest driving news. Khan said in a statement Monday, that is the ICC Prosecutor Khan, Karim Khan. This is the statement. Based on the evidence collected and examined by my office, I have reasonable grounds to believe that Netanyahu and Galat bear criminal responsibility for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed on the territory of the state of Palestine in the Gaza Strip from at least 8 October 2023. So from at least the day after the horrible act of October 7th, where you saw thousands of Jewish teens, 20s, kids, men, women, and children, music festivals, brutally murdered and slaughtered. And of course, the day after that, at least since the day after that, we've now had war crimes and atrocities, and it's Benjamin Netanyahu's fault. Now, here's where it gets interesting, and Harry, I want to bring you into this. Because, like you said, Israel doesn't respect the ICC, doesn't really have anything to do with it, same with the United States. However, when you have countries that do, and you're looking for diplomacy, and to look to get your message out there around the world, if you're Benjamin Netanyahu, and there's an arrest warrant out for you, this is bad.
Absolutely. And it's bad really for two reasons. First, many of the nations of the world are members of the ICC, therefore they will respect ICC directives, meaning that they may indeed be prepared to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he sets foot in their country, and potentially if he flies in a plane that goes through their airspace. That's number one. But number two, it's important to remember that there has been a combination or a collaboration of left-wing activists who wish to place Israel in the category of being the oppressor, the ultimate oppressor, and therefore all of Israel's victims are gain moral power, meaning that they are prepared to do everything possible to marginalize Israel. But I would also offer this commentary, which Jeff may or may not agree with, which is none of this would likely occur without the tacit support of many American officials, particularly in the Biden administration. the Biden administration increasingly has taken the view that Israel is basically a bad actor in responding to rape, to murder, to terrorism, to genocide. And so I think it's going to be up to the American people to respond to the Biden administration.
I think you're right. And I think we can actually look back to the Obama administration and talk about sort of the BDS movement that came out of that. Because I think the BDS movement was like the little version of this. It was like the baby, the junior of, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to tell certain companies they should not be investing in Israel. They should pull their merchandise. If you're a Ben and Jerry's ice cream or whatever it is, we should push people into this part, to the boycott part, to the financial part. And now, Jeff, just a few short years later, we saw the impact of that. Now the move is to call for the arrest of the prime minister and really label Israel as a genocidal terrorist regime.
Well, Harry wasn't sure I was going to agree with him. I agree with him, except I'm going to triple down on what he said and on what you're saying, Logan, which is to say, the Biden administration, this could not have happened but for the Biden administration using every bully pulpit it can to preach against Israel, to claim that Israel is a bad actor, to claim, to use absolute terrorist lies, propaganda coming from Hamas and other terrorist organizations to issue blood libels against Israel and its army. And what we also know is that within the Biden administration, the people advising the Biden administration are themselves part of this global pro-terror, pro-Hamas network. They're doing the work of the genocidal jihadis here using the White House. And that is the only reason that the international community that has long sought to destroy Israel feels it has the privilege, the imprimatur to do so. It's because we have an American administration. And just pause for a moment to recognize, you contrasted it to October 7th, October 8th. Just a couple of years ago, right before Biden came into office, peace was breaking out all over the Middle East. This is all a result of America turning its back. And America's policy under Joe Biden, as it was under Obama, is that simply the act of a Jew living in parts of Jerusalem or living in Judea or living in Samaria is criminal. They're calling that criminal. Understand, they're trying to outlaw Jewish lives. This is part of a genocidal front. That's all it is. And the problem is it has nothing. I will actually quote the Bible, Leviticus 19:15. I think about this all the time now, and we ACLJ should think about this. Do not, my translation from the Hebrew, Lo tasa avel b'mishpat. Do not pervert justice through the law. That's what they're doing. They're using the law to pervert justice.
Rick, we got word today that something we were expecting was going to happen has happened. Now the prosecutor of the ICC, Khan, has submitted applications for the arrest of Bibi Netanyahu as well as the defense minister Gallant. I just wanted to get your reaction to it. What should the United States response be, even if it won't be out of this administration?
Look, this is an outside agency of the UN. It's got to be cut off. It's got to be defunded. I don't like these global courts. They're all messing up. Jack Smith came from The Hague. He put the president of Kosovo in prison. The guy is still there. It's all trumped up charges. Now he's going after Donald Trump. It's too political. And this guy at the ICC is now going after, he's been trying to get Israel for a very long time. You'll notice he didn't say anything about the hostages. He just talks about the reaction to trying to get the hostages back. It's phony, and we should just defund them and let them go off on their own.
You couldn't have said it better, both of you. I think that this is a time you need to stand up for Israel. That's why we have this petition. I'm going to encourage you right now to go to aclj.org/sign. We just filed 2 critical written submissions to the UN to defend Israel, expose Iran's plot to utterly destroy the Jewish state. But you can take action with us. Sign our petition, help defend Israel. Stand up for our Jewish brothers and sisters. Sign now at aclj.org/sign. Do that today. Again, cost you nothing. Help support the people of Israel.